You wouldn't have any TVs in the olden days. You might have a radio, but that would be about all the things that would be electric in your house.
I think the olden days started in 1920.
It's very different than the olden days because in my house we've got a Nintendo DS and a PSP and 3 PlayStations and phones and MP3 players and iPods and computers. They're your essential gadgets and you want to keep them.
When villagers were in their houses were made out of straw and the roofs were made out of straw, and the kings and queens had like big robes and there was this person who went round collecting money for the king and queen.
Did the houses always get built with bricks?
Adam, we're supposed to be telling them what it is, not asking questions. If your friend's only like 2 doors away from you, you could maybe just walk to your house. So you could maybe.
If they were maybe your next door neighbour, you could use Morse code with that torch through the window.
Their clothes were rags and they couldn't really make clothes themselves. Well, they could have made them themselves with those little spinning wheels.
They could have worn curtains or something.
There was no curtains in those days, and they wouldn't have plenty food. They would only have some mud they would eat sometimes, or hay. That's what they would used to eat.
They could have ate the fruit off the trees.
But the trees, Jenny, were bare. They were all bare. It's not like we've got leaves on our trees and fresh green grass. It's not like that. There was no grass. It was completely muddy.
Could have cooked nettle soup. They would have got stings all over the hands because they didn't have gloves to pick the nettles.
In the olden days, well, dinosaurs were there and there was Robin Hood, but Robin Hood wasn't a fox, he was a human, and dinosaurs weren't extinct like now. Well, when it was 1,000 years later in the olden days, the dinosaurs just fell down and came extinct. Well, I can't really explain it.
I think it was a wild when they did it, and it didn't fit to hold all the dinosaurs up, so the dinosaurs just went boom and fell down the ground.
Back then, when the famine was on, people didn't have enough money for the boats, and that's what led up to the what's the big boat called again? Titanic. That's what happened. Titanic. Too many people on the boat to America.
In the olden days, if you were ever pregnant, you wouldn't be able to go on a boat. You would have to just wait at the house until you were unpregnant.
I would miss 2 things. First, I'd miss football. You wouldn't be able to see it because there'd be no floodlights. And second, I'd miss books. If I don't read a book, I'll just be squandered in my bed. I'll be looking around myself.
I actually know the first machine ever invented in the olden days. It was kind of like a train and kind of like a tractor that we have nowadays, except it ran on tracks.
It's a tram.
Yeah, it's a tram and it worked 20
It's more like a bus.
Yeah, it's more like a bus and it can go at 29 miles an hour. And it's not that fast, but at least it's better than having a horse pulling you.
When my dad was at school, if they did bad manners at lunchtime, they'd be sent to this place called the Pig's Table, and that's where my dad met most of his friends.
There's this thing about Tudor times, and you had to go to the toilet either in a bucket and then throw it out onto the street, or go to the toilet out your window.
Isn't that lovely?